Good morning, good evening, good night, everybody, wherever you are in the world. Welcome once again to another session of Living World of Darkness. This is a scene for the Mage venue. We open up a couple days after the events of that very interesting Halloween block party that Maggie attended. While she was there, one of the prizes she received was a card with a phone number on it, given by what appeared to be the leader of the slaughter that she bore witness to. Tonight, overcome with curiosity or perhaps just a lack of common sense, Maggie has purchased a burner phone and traveled to one of New York City's malls. What is the reason behind this burner phone, Maggie?
Maggie used to be caught up in the illicit use of intoxicants and narcotics. She knows that if you don't want somebody tracking down your name and address and all of that sort of information, you generally speaking don't want a phone that has any attachment to you other than being in your physical presence. And I forgot, Maggie will not be going in this attire because Vikos has never met Maggie. Vikos has only met Tara. In any event, Maggie or Tara is currently sitting at a Cinnabon because nothing bad ever happened at a Cinnabon, and currently tapping her lighter on the table as she's just looking at the number that's currently programmed into the phone. And she finally gives it a call.
The voice on the other end is the same one that you recognize from that party full of carnage. It has a very cold, sort of detached tone to it. It just says, "Good evening, little witch."
Good evening.
Surely you must have some reason for calling this number.
Call it morbid curiosity.
Morbid indeed.
I'm interested about why everything that happened on the evening of the party, why those things had to happen, why it is you do the things you do.
I do not discuss such matters over a phone. Do you have a place in mind?
Do you mind meeting in public?
Of course not. I often find the more warm bodies there are, the better.
Yeah. There is a open air coffee place. Has very good Colombian coffee, among other things. I'll send you the address.
Great. I'll be there shortly.
Maggie hangs up the phone. She'll send a text to Ken and of where she's going, and she makes her way there.
Interestingly enough, already sitting down, would be the exact same figure that you saw before. The few people that populate this little coffee shop are either staring in slack-jawed awe or attempting timidly to avoid making eye contact. The individual doesn't even regard them, however.
Maggie takes her bag and sets it on the chair. I don't know if Lycos has a reflexive roll to detect what's in her bag, because we all know who's in the bag. But I'll leave that up to you. She'll sit down and order a one of the small cups of Cuban coffee, kind you only get in a small shot size. And she just looks across at probably one of the most horrifyingly beautiful things she's ever seen.
As Vikos finally regards Maggie, she'll feel a distinct sense of unease and dread as the way that its eyes move and the way that it regards her is very, very surgical and almost violating just to feel. Maggie gets the feeling that it is already plotting the numerous ways to sever the life from the body.
So, is she dressed in the same attire, or is she a bit more casual?
Vikos is not casual at all.
So, same attire as the party?
Pretty much.
Tara or Maggie sort of sits there and tries to drink in as much of what Vikos is wearing with sort of a uneasy grin. You're one for the flamboyant when it comes to your attire choices.
Perhaps. I like to make a statement. As far as statements go, you have about 15 minutes to entertain me before I kill you.
Well, then let's get right to the point. Why?
It is for the... And you'll see as she will actually pull out a smartphone and she will just very delicately put a 15-minute timer on it. Why what?
Why a slaughter?
It was a celebration in a sense.
Celebration. New York residents need to worry about every Halloween of these sort of celebrations happening?
I don't think a day should go by in which they should not be terrified.
Can I ask your name?
I've been called more things than I can even remember at this point. But if you must, you may call me Sasha.
Well, Sasha, you can call me Tara. And Maggie will switch over into Hindi since she has experienced that Sasha has a grasp of the language. Do you know what I am?
Sasha will look her over for a moment, again regarding her with that same surgeon's precision. I'm unfamiliar.
Well, it is fair to be said that I am fairly unfamiliar with your kind, though somewhat acquainted. And Shelby, would it be all right to use some of the information that Garrett gave Maggie in the info dump about the Sabbat and the Camarilla and their fight?
Yeah, sure.
Right. Maggie leans forward. You're not with the Camarilla, are you?
Now that is $1 million word, little witch. I am not.
So then your fight is against them, not necessarily the people of the city.
Why would you assume that?
Just from around the grapevine is that there's a war going on between you and them.
You give them so much more importance than they could ever ask for.
Well, I am something of a initiate when it comes to your kind.
Really? You still stink as if you live. I highly doubt you're even an initiate.
Then perhaps the right term is dabbler. I don't seek conflict with your kind as of right now, and I don't want to.
And yet you find yourself here. Not of my will, but of yours.
I've always been that kind of person. I can't accept something until I see it or hear it. There's a community within this city of supernaturals. I'm sure you're aware of that.
As in every city across the globe.
A lot of those that exist within the living want nothing to do with whatever it is that goes on among the undead.
That sounds like a whole lot of their problem, to be frank with you.
We want to avoid you, stay away from you, and let you do whatever it is you do.
You're not doing a very good job of it.
No, I'm not. I'm seeking, for lack of a better term, either territory to stay away from that you all wish to conduct business in, or non-aggression, if at all possible.
We're predators. You do not ask a predator to cease its hunt. And you do not exist within its territory without expecting danger. This entire city is my territory. The places that you seek to avoid us may as well be the places where it is daylight 24/7.
So that's the long short of it then.
Essentially.
No non-aggression. Just look over your shoulder and hope you don't see us.
I'm sure that those of you who are worthy to will get really good at surviving. And if you were expecting sympathy, you have come to the wrong place. You have 5 minutes.
Well, Sasha, I didn't come expecting sympathy, more practicality. But I won't assume that you even desired that, so I appreciate your time.
It is a privilege many would scramble over each other, killing each other in the process, to have.
An audience with you. I'll admit you're haunting.
Notice its lips turn upward in a sort of cold smile.
Maggie just kind of points. That's never going to leave my head, is it?
Likely not.
Well then, Sasha. Maggie stands up. I wish you would have had more time.
I am a busy creature.
And Tara will nod and lay out a few bills on the table for her cup of coffee. How much time does she have left?
She has 4 minutes.
How do you get that to that point of being that? And she just kind of gestures at Sasha's general sort of visage.
Evolution. Time works wonders, helps you to transcend what you once were, what you ever were. Perhaps someday you too shall experience it, little witch.
I like the natural course of things. Starting, doing, and then ending. Not to say that the thought of that is not tempting, but I don't think it's for me.
Then I pray that your end be magnificent and satisfactory. I hope you learn something from it.
I've learned many things from death. I've experienced it more than once. But since we only have 3 minutes left, there's probably nothing we can espouse on now.
Consider my interest piqued. Tell me about the times you experienced death.
Is this a open conversation then? One where we don't have to worry about time limits?
For now, no. I will inform you when I grow bored.
Very well. And she'll adjust herself in her seat. You died to become what you were.
I did.
I faced death when I took my own life. And she'll sort of rub the side of her head. I set myself down in a tub full of hot water and slit my wrists.
I see. And how did that feel?
The pain didn't express itself as much as I thought it would. I thought for sure that it would be a constant sensation of burning in my arms, but it didn't really hurt beyond the initial cut.
What did you feel when your connection to your life snapped?
Nothingness at first. It was sort of like laying down in a familiar bed. And I almost thought I heard whispers of people I'd lost. And just listened to the echoes of memories of music, and I started to drift off, just letting it all take me in. And then there was nothingness for a brief time, which was not what I expected.
What did this nothingness tell you?
I wasn't sure. I'm still not entirely convinced. It was almost like sensory deprivation. It was just the id. And I wasn't sure how long that lasted. It could have been brief moments, it could have been days. Didn't really seem as though there was any sense of time. That was what was extremely unsettling. I don't know if you've ever experienced a large passage of time seeming like it happened in an instant, or an incident happening in a very drawn-out manner.
What brought you back from this death?
There was something in that nothingness that clawed at me, tried to tear me apart, tried to set me ablaze. I might have been able to handle nothingness. That voice, that feeling of being ripped apart, it drove me back. The funny thing was I didn't know which direction to go. I just went where instinct guided me. And I pulled myself back along with the assistance of another who found me and prevented me from being forever parted from myself.
I see. So you ran from your first death.
It wasn't my first. That was my second. The first one is a bit personal.
Explain.
I was shot.
What was that death like? Was it any different from the one that you chose for yourself?
It was a bit like losing a part of yourself. Someone that I cared about a great deal died with me. But when I was meant to die, when I was meant to experience that nothingness, I fell into a fit of anger that I'd never felt before. The fire sort of welling up from the inside. Like before, like I said before, there was that moment of everything closing off, but this first time it was like falling into a bath full of fire and hot light. That brought me back the first time.
The fire brought you back.
The light. Very, very bright light.
And what was the source of this light?
Self-determination, in a manner of speaking. Self-awareness. On a level I'd never experienced or even knew could be experienced.
So this death taught you to be self-aware.
Yes.
Were those the only times you'd experienced such a thing?
I was stabbed several times before. Someone tried to murder me.
Another murder. How did this one happen?
Someone attacked me. not too dissimilar in the way that you and your minions attacked the people at that party. But this was far more intimate.
Intimate, you say? Why was this death so intimate?
It was one-on-one. Just me and my attacker.
And how did that feel? How did your attacker end your life?
With a knife. It stabbed me multiple times.
When you realized you were dying again, what was that like?
It was different this time. I was thrust inside myself. I was put in a very precarious place between life and death.
How so?
I don't really know how to quantify it in words. It was an experience. It was being in many places at once, being nowhere, being isolated.
Can you recall the feeling?
At the time, contentment that a lot of the pain that I had felt up until that point was not there.
I see. And anything after that?
After that, I let go of a lot of baggage.
Did your death teach you to let go?
It showed me that pain, things that I held on to, were chains holding me back. I changed who I was from that point out.
And this was your final death.
In a manner of speaking, yeah. I still have one more to experience.
Perhaps more.
Maybe. Depends on what fate has in store for me.
Fate. It has certainly placed us very close to each other. Perhaps, if you were to wish to seek enlightenment once more, maybe we could help each other.
That would require me to trust you. And my dealings with your kind before have led me to not trust you or any of your kind.
Should you wish to survive, perhaps you shouldn't. But I have not misled you as to what I am. I have not misled you as to what I intend to do.
Tara nods. I'll say that is somewhat refreshing.
Do not seek comfort in the gates of the monsters.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all that, Shell.
Do not seek comfort with the monsters. That is a fatal mistake.
Not seeking knowledge, seeking alliances. Is that just as fatal?
Alliances, perhaps. Enlightenment, perhaps. It depends on your dedication.
You mentioned survival, and that comes in the form of survival as what you might be.
Become like me. Had not considered such a proposition. I am unsure if you would be ready for such a thing.
I wasn't looking for an offer. I just wonder if that's what you meant by survival.
We do not survive. We exist.
Can I inquire about your existence then?
You may ask. I may not answer.
What was your death like?
It pauses for a moment as if it's recalling a memory from... It's almost as if one were recalling a memory from when they were 3 years old. Me. My death was at the hands of one of my teachers. It... do not know how to describe it, for I do not have those feelings anymore. But there was no moment in which I felt more alive than the exact moment before I died. I came back hungry. Perhaps for blood. Mostly for an understanding.
Understanding of what?
Of what it means. I was graciously plucked from your cycle of life and death. I wish to understand the meaning as to why. To why death exists. And by that extension, to why life exists. And what they hold for one another.
Was there ever a time you regretted your decision?
Perhaps back when I had certain frailties, such as empathy, such as strong emotion. But I have evolved past such things.
You do come off as cold and calculating on a level I've never experienced before.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Tara said that that Sasha seemed definitely cold and calculating in a way that she'd never experienced before.
Indeed. I have a feeling that your experiences are far more limited than mine. There are some who would call me kind and benevolent.
Well, that's fairly subjective, isn't it?
As all things.
For someone who seems to be a student of death, you're not what I expected. You seem to take joy in some things. You're not stoic in the manner that I envisioned.
Really? What did you expect?
Well, your fascination with death, I've seen it before, not to this magnitude, but in others. They become withdrawn and unfeeling, but you seem to take joy in what happened to the other mate.
I could be considered passionate about my studies. I am a dedicated student.
Was that what the celebration was?
Pomp and circumstance.
Let's see. I have to say, you are an interesting being, Sasha.
I suppose I'll take that as a compliment.
Considering that my past dealings with vampires have been horrid in the past. From your I don't know if they're your enemies or not, to be honest, but they weren't upfront and they were violators.
And how were you violated?
Something in a personal way. For time, agency was taken from me.
Your agency. And how did it do that?
It fed me its blood.
That's all. I was growing interested in your violation, but I think your definition of the word is vastly inadequate.
Again, subjective, I suppose. What I find abhorrent is not something that you're going to find abhorrent, I wager.
I suppose that's correct.
In any event, the chat has been pleasant enough. If you want a creature that I was convinced would kill me for any number of reasons, you'd be a conversationalist I'd like to see again and again.
So I suppose you don't wish to take me up on my offer to study together.
I haven't closed the door to it, but it's not something I'm going to make a decision about here and now. With a lot
You
of...
have my offer.
I do. If I make a decision that puts us on the same path, you'll be hearing from me again. If not, I don't think you'll be too hard pressed one way or the other. I suppose as I am now, I'm probably somewhat insignificant.
All opportunities to learn are equally significant.
It has been a pleasant conversation, Sasha. I need to get going.
Very well. I hope that you make the correct decision. And if not, I hope that when you seek enlightenment again, I hope it's satisfying, and I hope that you'd think to tell me about it.
She just offers a nod of her head and almost a genuflection. And will grab her bag and begin to walk away.
Lycos will watch as Tar leaves. Again, her face goes blank as once again a mask of quiet surgical curiosity. As she exits the building, Lycos will turn to those that were staring at them as they had a conversation they could not comprehend. She will point her finger as if making a decision, and one of those fortunate souls will be leaving with her. And unless there was anything else that you would like to do, I believe this is a good point to end our scene. Thank you to our player for playing. Thank you to our watchers for watching. This has been another scene for Living World of Darkness, Mage Venue.